Hello, and hello. We're going to do a brief intro about minor keys, and also talking about what the chord qualities and therefore the Roman numerals would be in minor keys. So just a real quick review for context. When we are looking at a major key, so in this case we've got 1 sharp, we're in the key of G major. So if we're looking at our Roman numerals, actually let's take a real quick backtrack. We're looking at our whole steps and half steps. Whole step, half step. And what I'm talking about the roots of these chords. So just this G major scale that's happening with the lowest note in each of these chords. So we got G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G again. So just talking about those the root notes, we've got whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. So that is the whole step, half step configuration for a major scale. And as we've talked about, the fact that that is consistent in every major scale is also why all the chords are consistent. That's why the 1 chord's always major, the 2 chords always minor, the 3 chords always minor, 4, etc. So let's actually go ahead and plug that in as well. Major 1, minor 2, minor 3, major 4, major 5, minor 6, and diminished 7. Forgive the huge 0 that really should be superscript little 1. And then we're back to 1 where we started. So this remains consistent because of the whole step, half step orientation that is also consistent. So I think we understand that at this point. So in talking about minor keys, it's really a very similar situation. In this particular case, that's our scale. However, we've kind of, in a way, arbitrarily chosen G as our starting point. It's very familiar to us, these chords being used in the key of G. Makes a lot of sense. But in the key of 1 sharp, we could have just as easily chosen a different note. And really any of the 7 we could have chosen to be the note where we return to, or the chord that we return to have it sound like we're finished. So minor keys are really just using a different part of the scale as the home base, if you will, as the tonic note or the tonic chord. So in order to find the minor key from any major key, we actually are just going to go down a minor third to find the tonic note of the minor key. This is called the relative minor. Relative keys have the same key signature. So if you want to think of it like a key signature is sort of like DNA, relatives have similar DNA. I guess that's a bad analogy because relatives don't have the exact same DNA, whereas relative keys have the exact same key signature. So in this case, 1 sharp could mean G major, but it also could mean E minor. I forget if I already said it, but to find the relative minor of any major key, meaning the minor key that shares the same key signature, you're just going to go a minor third down. Another way to think of it, if you like solfege, is that the minor key will just be La, or the 6th scale degree in the major key. So if we're looking and pretending still that this is in the key of G minor, we just look at this chord right here, the 6th scale degree, the 6th chord, or the chord that's built on La, if you're thinking in solfege, that would be our new minor key with the same key signature. So again, relative keys have the same key signature. It's just a question of which chord or which note is going to be our tonic or our home base. So if I'm thinking of this just want to point something out. If I'm thinking of this in E minor, then this would no longer be our 1 chord. It would actually be the E chord. However, because none of the notes are changing, we're using the same key signature, it's going to have the same quality. So that's our new, actually here I'll do this just as a visual. So this will be E minor below, and this will be G major above. So you can sort of see for reference. So for the same reason, again, consistency, the whole steps and half steps, same key signature, the chord qualities are going to remain the same. So this is a minor 1, so what do you think the 2 chord in a minor key is going to be? That's right, it is diminished. It shouldn't be a secret. Look, it's an F sharp diminished chord. It was the same F sharp diminished chord that we had in G major, but we're just giving it a slightly different perspective, a new context, giving it a new job. Now it's the diminished 2 chord. So what do you think the 3 chord in a minor key is going to be? Well, again, the chord hasn't changed. It's still this G major chord from before, but instead of calling it the 1 chord, now it's the 3 chord. Circling back around, well, let's still go 3 chords. So the 4 chord is going to be minor in a minor chord. The 5 chord is going to be minor in a minor key. And the 6 chord is going to be major in a major key. And then finally, the 7 chord is going to be major. So these are the different chord qualities. And again, to find the relative minor, all I had to do was go a minor third down, or think of the 6th scale degree or La in that in the context of the major key. Before we get too far into the Roman numerals of this, let's try just looking at some minor keys. So if I'm looking at this key signature, I see 1 flat. I might know my major key signatures really well and think, okay, this is F. So if it's F would be the major key, all I have to do is go down a third, maintaining the key signature, to find where the relative minor would be. So while this could be F major, this is telling me it's minor, so that's not in question. Instead of putting F major, I would put, going a third down, D minor. Let's try a couple more. So this would be the key of B, which means that the tonic note would be right here. Again, B major. However, we're going to go a third down, boop, and go down to the G line. Now, would this be G minor or G sharp minor? We're looking at the key signature. This is sharp in the key signature, so this would be the key of G sharp minor. So again, B major, G sharp minor, same key signature. B major versus G sharp minor. Different home base, different context, same key signature. Oh, that's annoying. I'll just go ahead and tell you it's A sharp minor. Well, let's go through it anyway. So this would be the key of C sharp minor. Oh, sorry, C sharp major, all 7 sharps. So if I'm looking at C, go down a minor third, or just down a third and staying in the key. That's how I get A sharp minor. So if everything sharp is C sharp major or A sharp minor, everything natural would be C major or A minor. Another way to think of this, that maybe not be helpful in this particular format when you're being asked just to identify a key signature, maybe it would be, is that this is a bad example. Let's try this one. So 5 sharps, going a half step up from the last sharp, or you just remember 5 sharps is B major. So if I'm going a third down from B, it would be here, which is G. But I look up here and it's sharp, G sharp major. I think we already had this one now that I'm thinking about it. Another thing to keep in mind is that if I want to acknowledge this, in any minor key, it's only 3 notes different from its parallel major key. Let's go back to here so I can type this out. Parallel minor or major is a different thing. Parallel keys have the same tonic. So parallel keys have the same tonic. So C major and C minor they have the same tonic note. So in a way they run parallel to each other. They actually run right on top of each other. Whatever works for you to remember that. But parallel keys have the same tonic note, not the same pitches. They have different pitches. Relative minor keys or relative keys have the same key signature, so they pretty much have the same notes. It's just a question of which notes are being emphasized as the home base or tonic note. Okay, so moving on. What I was going to say is that there's only 3 notes different between a key and its parallel key. So in C major, we have no sharps or flats. In C minor, we have 3 flats. Because if you think about, if we're going minor to major, so C minor, if I went up a minor third, I'd get to E flat. So the key of E flat is 3 flats, B, E, and A flat. So I'm changing those 3 notes. So instead of do, re, mi, I have do, re, mi, E flat. Those stay the same. And then instead of having la, ti, do, I have le, A flat, te, B flat, do, si. So this is just a little trick. If we're thinking about minor versus major keys, if I know that this is the minor key, all I have to do to figure out what the major key would have been is the parallel major key would be to raise 3 notes. So if I'm raising 3 notes in order, I would raise this, and raise this, which essentially means I'm getting rid of the last 3 flats. And so that would leave me with 4 flats, which is A flat major. So adding the 3 flats back in means that it's A flat minor. This trick confuses some people, and for others, it is a little gem where it makes it infinitely easier for them. But you have to decide. If it's confusing, throw it away. If it helps, use it as much as you want. So again, I'm thinking, okay, this is the minor key, so in order to change it to the parallel, meaning the key that has the same tonic, major key, I would have to raise the last 3 pitches. So boop, boop, and boop, which leaves me with 4 flats, which is the key of A flat. So let's look at this one, 3 flats. This is the minor key. I want to know what the parallel major key would be. Then I just go and get rid of the last, or I should say I raise the last 3 pitches in the key signature. So in the case of flats, that means I'm getting rid of all 3 of these flats. So when I have no sharps or flats, that means I'm in the key of C. Going back to the other method, this is the key of E flat, yes? If I treated it as major. So in the key of E flat, going down a third, I get the same answer. It would be C minor. And then in this case, this is the key of B flat, go down a third, I get G, G minor. If I'm using the other trick and raising 3 notes, that would mean I raise this so it's gone, raise this so it's gone. And in order to raise 1 more note, I have to add the first sharp, which would be F sharp. So 1 sharp, the key of F sharp, the key of 1 sharp, major key, would be G. So I end up with the same answer. It's really up to you which makes more sense. So just 1 or 2 more. Again, I'm looking at this thinking the major key for 4 sharps would be E. Going down a minor third, I would end up with a C. Checking the key signature, so C sharp minor would be the answer. Trying it the other way, I would raise 3 notes. So if I have 4 sharps, basically I'm raising the next 3 in the sequence. So that would essentially be like adding 3 more sharps. Well, if I have 7 sharps, 4 plus the added 3. That also yields the same answer, C sharp. So this would be the key of C sharp minor. Okay, going back to this screen, I just want to point something out. We have this sequence, which is a little bit out of order right now, so I'm actually just going to type it up here as a reference. In a minor key, the Roman numerals are as follows. This is exactly what's below. I'm just doing it in order now. So minor 1, diminished 2, major 3, minor 4, minor 5, major 6, major 7, and minor 1 again. So this is what would happen if it was diatonic. Diatonic, once again, means everything fits within the key signature. So, there's an issue though, and that is in a minor key, we have, instead of do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, remember what we call T? It's that leading tone. It's the half step below the tonic note. It's pushing us up there saying, you're almost there. Sing or play or listen to the tonic note. But if we're in a minor key, if I play a 1 chord and then a minor 5, it sounds fine to my ear. It may sound fine to your ear. However, it definitely doesn't sound as much as though we're pulling towards that tonic note. So, more often than not, especially in the context of this class, which remember is in a little bit of a box, we are almost always going to add the leading tone, which is not diatonic. So looking at this example, which 1 sharp would be G major or 1 sharp, relative key, remember keys that have the same key signature, relative key would be E minor. However, in order to maintain, to achieve that same pull with the leading tone that creates, here's another buzzword for you, a dominant chord. The dominant chord is usually the 5 chord, but it can be any chord with the leading tone that's pulling us to 1. So 5 is the most common chord that pulls us to 1, because you have that, again, I'll go back to G major, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, and you also have that sol, do. It is a very strong pull to the 1 chord. But a lot of that pull comes from that T, that half step minor second from the leading tone to tonic. If we don't have that, it doesn't feel nearly as strong. So in minor keys, we change it. We borrow the note from the parallel major. So in the case of E minor, we have a D natural. That's what's in the key signature. But we're going to borrow the leading tone from E major so that we can still have that leading tone T, do, even though we end up on the minor chord. So, more often than not, you're going to see this 5 chord altered so that it has T, or the leading tone, in it. So, what did I do here? I'm going to go back in here, and I'm going to put in parentheses major 5, because really that is what you see more often than not. Similarly, the diminished 7 chord is a dominant chord, and if you listen to this, let's be in G again. That's a 5-7 chord. We haven't gotten into the 7th chords yet, but we will very soon. This is a 7th chord, leading us to 1. Now I'm going to play diminished 7, leading to 1. They're very, very, very similar. They actually only have 1 note different. So the diminished 7 chord is also very often altered to have the leading tone in it. So I'm going to put this in parentheses and call that a diminished 7 as well. It's the same note that I would be altering. So the leading tone in any key, whether or not it's major or minor, is just a half step below tonic. The difference is in a minor key it's going to be an altered pitch, whereas in a major key it is diatonic. It's included. It comes with the leading tone. In minor keys it's sold separately. It's an add-on. You have to get it separate. So that's going to be a real big telltale sign when you're thinking or looking or listening to minor keys, is that there are going to be altered pitches with minor keys. Alright, well, I hope this has helped a little bit, give you at least a foundation in minor keys. Basically, we're going to be doing a lot of the same tasks that we've been doing, except now we will also be doing it in the context of a minor key. And we'll be talking about ways to identify which is which before you get started, so you don't analyze something in G major when in actuality it is in E minor. But one of those telltale signs is accidentals. So if you see an accidental, you're looking at a key and you say, oh, there's one sharp. So it might be G major. It might be E minor. I know about minor keys now. I'm pretty smart. I know that there's two main choices. It could be G major or E minor. I'm not sure. Well, what note would I probably see almost definitely if it was E minor? What is the leading tone in E minor? Or what's the 7th scale degree of E major is another way of asking that. Or a half step down from E. D sharp. So if I'm in E minor, I'm probably going to see at least at least one D sharp in that progression or piece of music. And that'll be a telltale sign. Also, if it begins and ends on an E minor chord, it's probably not in G major. So again, we're going to revisit those things and talk about them. But I have to know I've thrown a lot at you, but that is your intro to minor keys and the Roman numerals that accompany those. Again, minor 1, diminished 2, major 3, minor 4, minor 5, but we usually change it to B major, major 6, major 7, but very often we will change it to be diminished, just like it was in its parallel major key. Alright, well, I've thrown a lot at you. Hopefully you can digest that. Feel free to go back and rewatch. We will revisit and review in person as well. Let me know if you have any questions.